So I was supposed to be living in the mountains right now. We packed our stuff and then we ended moving our stuff back 2 weeks later. You see, I've been dreaming about leaving the city, growing tomatoes, and living a calmer life. I started looking for an isolated place, arranged a moving day, and then my life went upside down. Let me start at the beginning and tell you why I needed escape in the first place. My days are usually full of clients demanding my time. It's always urgent, it's always important, and like if it was life or death situation. Except it's not. I'm not a surgeon, I'm not a firefighter, I just work in tech. I try to do my best, but I can help feeling like every urgency is made up. It's like we're living in a Severance episode. I'm just moving little numbers around on the screen without any real meaning. Anyway, I've been feeling this way for quite some time, and I just couldn't figure out a way to feel any different. For some reason, I started watching YouTube videos about gardening, and you know how it is with the algorithm. You begin with a succulent growing video, and then you're watching chickens, beehives, and a whole new lifestyle. Feeling burned out and desperate for a change, moving to the mountains started to make sense to me. I always loved nature. When I was a teenager, I worked in construction in an isolated community in the mountains. We didn't have electricity or even a working toilet, but I remember that was one of the happiest seasons of my life. Of course, I was just a naive and young girl who didn't know much about anything. Maybe I'm romanticizing that memory, but living surrounded by plants and animals felt amazing. Fast forward 20 years, and I spent the last decade developing my technical skills, my soft skills, and somewhere along the way, I lost myself. You're an adult now, and you understand you need money to survive. You have to work in something serious, you have to support yourself, so a practical career becomes a must. Especially when your parents aren't rich and you can afford to spend your time working on dreams that don't pay a living wage. And then come those dreaded Sunday afternoons when you saw that the idea of doing this all over again every day for the rest of your life until you retire or die, whatever comes first. Maybe you could say I give my job a bigger part of my life than I should, and maybe you're right. I know some people work to live, and in their free time they have hobbies, passions, and they spend the time with their family. Or maybe you're one of the lucky ones that found an industry and a job position that you really, really like, where every day feels like pay. And I'm happy for you if that's your case. In my case, I do love creating tangible things, but there's something about corporate life that feels so unappealing. No matter how much you love the work itself, there's always back and forth, there's always revisions, there's always feedback, and constant meetings and calls that take the fun out of it. What makes us human is our ability to be creative. And as someone living to please users and CEOs, that itch just wasn't being scratched. I was fed up, so I started Googling places in the mountains. I wasn't sure if this life will actually be for me. So instead of buying a property and moving there with the hope that it would work for us, my wife and I decided it was best for us to rent a property first. We lived there for a few months, even a year, and if we could see that we could be away from our loved ones, from the city, then we would consider buying land and building a home there. I spent months looking at what was available in the market. Since we will be further away, we will need it to be cheaper than our current apartment. This will be necessary to justify gas prices and hopefully save some money. And as you can imagine, cheaper places were in a good shape. They will usually be missing some basic features. Most of them look neglected, they were probably vacation homes, and they weren't really maintained. And on the other side, you had the luxury vacation homes like acres of land, 8 bedrooms, and impossible to afford. I was getting discouraged, but I kept looking and looking and looking. My wife wasn't as excited as I was, but she was supportive and was open to making this lifestyle change. I know she was worried about my declining mental health, and I know she wanted to see a spark in my eyes again. And then, in December, guess what happened? I found a place. It was this little cottage with enough land for me to plant some tomatoes and have some raised garden beds. It was within our budget, it was close enough to the city, but felt isolated enough to feel like an off-grid experience. Our jobs weren't completely remote, but we were close enough to the city that we could make a trip back and forth if we have to. In the rare occasion we have to go to the office. It had a beautiful mountain view in the living room, huge windows that let in a lot of light, and a spacious master bedroom. The weather was nice and everything started to fall into place. We spoke to the real estate agent. I was happy. I was anxious, but it was the kind right of anxious. If we liked it there, the owner was open to selling the place. But if we wanted a different place, there were nearby plots of land that we could buy. It was perfect, or so I thought. One day, we were at the city traffic at 6 p.m. on a red light when suddenly a driver nearby came down from our building ramp, lost his brakes, crashed through an hospital exit, and then crashed into us. His tires kept spinning after he hit us. I couldn't get out of the car, and I was shocked. Thankfully, my wife and I were okay. The driver and his wife were also okay. People from the hospital and nearby buildings started to gather, and I had to climb over the driver's seat to get out of the car. Thankfully, it was just a scare, but we still need to call a tow truck. Little did I know, this was the beginning of a nightmare that would last at least 5 months between the trial and the entire process. And mind you, when this happened, we were coordinating with the real estate agent to go see the off-grid property, so we needed a car. After the accident, we didn't have a car. We are a one-car family, so this is our only means of transportation. The trial was a month away, and the property wouldn't be available forever. Out of everything that went wrong that day, I'm thankful for 4 things. That my wife and I are okay. I don't know what I will do without her. That our car was strong enough to take the impact without injuring us. That we're surrounded by loved ones who support us in this difficult time. That we were able to pay the deductible in the meantime because we had to wait for the trial. We had 2 friends who offered to drive us to the property because my wife and I naively thought that it would only take a few weeks to have our car back. We went there, saw the place, and decided to move forward. We talked to the real estate agent with the owner and explained our car situation, and they agreed to wait a few weeks for our car to be back. I have to say, I'm not usually a spontaneous person. I have to make a list of pros and cons. I am a planner, so this was like really out of character for me. Doing this felt liberating. I knew there would be obstacles and that everything wasn't perfect when I decided to make the move. Even now, knowing it didn't work out, I still feel proud. At least I tried and I didn't let my fears stop me. They have stopped me before, but not this time. We borrowed my brother's car to start moving little things to the place. We started doing this on the weekends, and we had a final move arranged with a company that will move our furniture and bigger stuff. At this time, we knew we wouldn't have the car ready when we will move. So we have a lot of backup plans for this. We have my brother's help with the car, people who offer transportation services nearby the land, and this will be in the meantime while we waited our car to be repaired. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, the house itself started falling apart. In one of those trips, we noticed that one of the boxes we left inside the house were a little damp. At first, we thought we'd left a window accidentally open, or that they were somehow wet when we went inside the house. But then we went back and forth multiple times to the property, and every box we moved there, they were damp. Every single box was damp. The last time we went there in that weekend, we noticed that after it rained, the floor was flooded. The bedroom, the living room, a lot of places were flooded. That weekend, a cold front hit the country, and every single wall or door felt completely wet. We had visited the house in the summer, so it wasn't apparent that every ceiling, every window, every door had been leaking. And let me tell you something, this happened during one of the driest months of the year here in Panama. From December to April, it's our dry season. After that, it rains almost every month, every day. And that's when I realized if this is happening now, when it's our dry season, we didn't stand a chance during the rainy season. I can't even describe how overwhelmed I felt. Everything smelled like mold, the floor was soaking wet, and even my clothes felt damp. Everything we did and every step we took toward this dream started to feel like a nightmare. I'm not someone who usually believes in destiny, but it honestly felt like the universe was trying to tell us something. Like, this isn't it, this isn't happening. This was supposed to be our summer, and every time we went there, it was cloudy, it was raining, and it was muddy. The house was leaking, our car was broken. We had to wait for original parts from the dealership, and that was an absolute horror movie. They say the parts will arrive at the end of January, then mid-February, and they kept moving the date. The parts were ordered from Japan, so they used every global event that happened around that time as an excuse for the delay. There was no sign of us getting our car back anytime soon. We had house problems, we didn't have a car, and every trip we took to the mountains felt worse than the last. That Sunday, after the cold front, we couldn't sleep. We talked everything through, and after a lot of talking and consideration, so we went back to the mountains one last time and moved everything back to the city. And you wanna know the funniest part? That Sunday, driving back to the city, it was the sunniest day I have seen in a long time. The weather was perfect. I felt nostalgic for the promise of what could have been, but the decision was made. It's been 3 months since this happened. I didn't have the courage to return to this channel, to post about my life, about my plans, because right now I don't have any. Still, I'm grateful despite everything. I have a supporting wife, a caring family, amazing friends, and our health, and hopefully, soon, our car. I'm not sure what will come next, but I'm hopeful that whatever happens, I'll be okay. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.